Okay,
Okay.
so okay. Wait, I click okay. Okay.
Yes. And all right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on the channel. Today I have Crystal Perdue. She's a licensed therapist and coach. And I've been bringing some other guest speakers on the channel. Number one, because I'm sure you guys are getting maybe you're getting bored of listening to me all the time. And number two, it's just really great to have other people who have different expertise, who can talk about different topics. So one of my last topics that I talked about was kind of about like with our guest. She was you have to meet her sometime, Crystal. She's amazing. She's
Oh,
the
yeah.
expat woman, but we talked a lot about like settling in and finding your community and loneliness. And I'm really excited to bring Crystal on today because we had some really good conversations about,
Hmm.
well, she's a therapist. So she's a therapist and like, licensed therapist and coach. So she's just probably, you could talk to her about everything forever. But I felt like what I thought would be really helpful would be talking about mental health and, well, we're going to talk about prevention of depression, anxiety while adjusting, while transitioning. And mainly because I do work with, not everyone I work with is retired. I would say a fair amount are retired. So they're also facing this like, okay, I'm moving, but I'm like, you're creating a new life and a whole new routine for yourself. So I think it's a really important topic to dive into because I think if people do come down and they don't have a plan for that, I think that's where, it can get, mental health stuff. So we're going to talk about that
Yes.
today. So if you are retiring, or even if you're not retiring, let's say you're even in a family, you're still working. It's really about like finding your new routine, like making your new life, your new lifestyle change. Because when people are moving, normally they're talking to me about, I'm trying to dig into what kind of lifestyle change are you trying to accomplish, and then figure out kind of where that goes. And if this is your first video, I help people with moving to Costa Rica. So if you're interested in that, you can check out the rest of the channel. There's lots of good, valuable info. But I'm gonna let Crystal kind of introduce herself. I love her story. So tell us a little bit about your kind of background, how you ended up in Costa Rica yourself, and how long you've been here.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Sarah, for inviting me to come on your channel today. It's nice to get to talk a little bit about this country that I love personally so much. I've been here, this will be going on 20 years this year. So I really just enjoyed my experience here. So, yes, I am a licensed therapist. I have over 25 years of working in mental health. I worked in the US for many years. Kind of funny story. My ex-husband is Costa Rican, so I moved here with him, and then even after the divorce, I just decided to stay with my teen children. So that tells you how much I love it. So he actually ended up moving back to the U.S. And I stayed. It really does. I find personally that Costa Rica has really aligned with my whole philosophy in life in terms of wellness and fitness, just the people here, I mean, right now it's what, 70 degrees, and that's pretty much every day, right? So that's a little bit about me and my story of being here. And yeah, coming on today to talk a little bit about the importance of, not romanticizing things, thinking I'm going to move to Costa Rica and it's going to be amazing, and kind of knowing some of the hard truths too. And I'm sure you're wonderful at that with helping people get, just transitioning in terms of finances, healthcare, and all that. But it's also important to consider mental health and well-being and how what one can do to prevent, have a good plan of action to have a smooth transition.
Yeah. So for you personally, what was your transition? Like, was this something that was on your mind as you were transitioning to moving here?
Mhm. Well, funny story. Like I said, I'm originally from Kansas, so it was actually my idea to move here. So we had our young daughter; she wasn't quite two, and just one day I was like, why don't we just try it for a year? And the thing is, for me, my ex-husband's Costa Rican, so his whole family was here. He had friends here, so it was a little bit of a different experience for me personally. But I thought, let's just move here for a year. And he's like, okay, let's give it a try. So we sold everything. It was a little bit smoother just because we already had a community kind of built up here. So it's a little bit different. However, when we first moved here, I did have to we lived with his family for a while. So it was a big adjustment for me. Um, you know, um, Living here, I did face some homesickness. it's very different. Things have changed significantly over 20 years of living here. I mean, there are more things, if you will. I remember bringing suitcases back of peanut butter, but you can find more things here now in Costa Rica. But it was hard just meeting friends, the culture, the language. It took, I would say it took me a good 6 months to a year just to really kind of get my bearings, if you will, and feel grounded. And in that process, trying to get out more, meeting friends. Again, I had, you know, kind of an already established family here, so that did help. But then also meeting people that aligned with my values and goals
Yeah.
was
How do you
helpful.
feel? Okay, for you personally, so I know you said that you ended up staying. I guess, what about Costa Rica does like align with your values and your goals in your life?
Um, Well, what happened was too that I started working, and that's one thing that helped me. I think having a I'm a huge advocate of a purposeful living. So, having something that I could do really helped me in my transition. So I ended up, finding out how to get recognized with my credentials in Costa Rica to start doing some coaching. So I started doing that. Remember, I had a toddler, so I was doing things with her, getting out there, meeting other moms. That really helped make more of a smoother transition for me and just having purpose. For me personally, there's nothing more important than having a daily schedule because that can provide a lot of structure, which helps create that stability and just to feel stable and grounded. So even though I wasn't working like a regular job, I would get up in the morning. I had things to look forward to too, and having purpose and incorporating daily healthy habits. As you know, we've talked about this like over our brunch. I'm really, and as you are, we were just talking this morning about waking up early and working out. I think it's so important to have those things that just healthy habits and having, exercise, eating well. Um, and drinking the water and everything. And Costa Rica really aligns with that because I mean, look, it's 70 degrees. We have fresh fruits and vegetables. People here generally are happier. I don't know if is it still rated the happiest country in the world? I don't know. It was for a while. I think I don't know. But,
Mhm.
people here, you go out and I cannot go out walking without everybody, including guards on everyone is has a very friendly greeting, which I love the energy here. I just feel it just promotes healthy living and a healthy lifestyle for me, the energy,
Yeah, for sure. And I
you
like
know.
Costa Rica, I think is a really great environment for when people want to come and live that way. Me personally, I've always struggled with balance. I'm always having to make these little
Yeah.
adjustments. Just I've passed through different phases of life here. And I can say I've definitely,
Mm,
in my move and all my years in my mind, 9+ years of living here, I've gone through waves of falling into unhealthy habits. And
mhm,
so it's like, I do want people to understand that Costa Rica is not just going to fix those things. It's
mhm,
great because,
mhm.
okay, I understand. And if you're in the dead of winter in New York, yeah, you don't want to go out and go for a walk. Here, I can go out and go for a walk and the
And
weather
it's mhm,
is nice. But you still need to get out there and get on that walk.
mhm,
So that's a lot of what I wanted to dig into today because I've struggled with balance for years. I mean,
mhm.
I'm doing good now, but and flows, but
Ebbs and flows, right? Yeah, no, totally. And I think too, once you get it, that consistency is the key, right? And having that balance is really hard to find. And when people come here, they may or may not have a job. They may not be working. So I think one prevention plan is having that structure of some sort, finding things, another important thing. And as being one of the five blue zones in the world, right? One key element is community. There are so many cool organizations here where you can volunteer, and the turtles and sloths and dogs and schools. There are so many cool things that you can do here. And I'm sure you can have somebody else talk about the different organizations. Getting out into the culture, learning, the language if you can. If you don't, my professional Spanish is not very good, and even my kids make fun of my Spanish with my accent, but that's okay. People are very warm and friendly, right? I mean, you don't have to necessarily be, because some people are like, well, I'm not fluent in Spanish. I'm like, that's okay. It's just important to come here, not romanticizing and not be rigid and have flexibility because it's not going to, right? You know that it's not going to be the same as in the US because some people come here and they're like, oh, what? There's not Thanksgiving? Oh, you guys don't have, and I'm like, no. And having that flexibility and really embracing the change and the culture is important too. And knowing it's not going to be the same as your little, your house in suburbia USA. It's a lot different, and having those realistic expectations when you move is important.
It is. And I feel like luckily most people that at least I work with are
Okay.
expecting that. Like they're moving because
Okay.
they
Good.
want to change. So maybe they want to get
Okay.
away from that. But there are going to be little things like, like "Why- maybe I can't throw the toilet paper in the toilet here. Like this is crazy. I've had people like, what do you do? Like, do you change your trash every day? I'm like, no, like it's actually not that bad. You just put it in the trash can. It's okay. So there's gonna be little nuances for sure. And okay, so I know that you've worked obviously with a lot of people as a licensed therapist, as a coach.
Uh-huh.
You've seen people in their transitions here. I mean, you've been in your
Mhm.
own transition here.
Yeah.
What are, I guess some big things that you recommend? I know you mentioned like getting into volunteering or hobbies. Sometimes I have people who like they don't know what their hobbies are anymore because they spent their whole
Hmm.
life working or maybe they just
Hmm.
haven't had the time, to even explore
Hmm.
that. What would you say would be good first steps for someone and maybe to prepare before and maybe even during this transition?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I think exploring, I think really doing some journaling and some self-reflective questions. Like, what is it in my life that I'm really seeking? What are some of the questions that you can ask yourself in terms of, trying to align with what will it bring to you and inviting that into your life and just doing some, I love journaling. We've talked about journaling together and just doing some free journaling, some self-reflection, and what is it that I'm really seeking and being really intentional. And being intentional and mindful in what is going to give you purpose in that. And it could even be coming here to, get more involved in your environment. It could be, there's so many benefits of moving and having different environmental places to stimulate your brain because as we age, it can promote, that neuroplasticity in the brain, which can prevent cognitive related illnesses like dementia. So really, I love it when people tell me that when they're in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s, that they want to move here. And it's not you at any age. Look at you. I mean, I look at us. I was in my early 30s when I moved to Costa Rica, and it stimulates different areas of your brain. And that's what I tell people. I feel like I have literally changed like the chemicals in my from living abroad. I don't know how you feel, but it's just I feel like I have more of a broader sense of the world. Like when I go back to the US, I just feel like I'm not US, but I know I'm not 100% Costa Rican living here so long, but it's like you just have a beautiful kind of sense of the world. I don't know if that's been your experience, but it's been, like I said, I could go on and on about the positives of living here because once you get over that little hump of transitioning, for me it was smooth finding my balance of what I wanted to do and my purpose here.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I'm like, not, I don't fit in the United States quite anymore.
Yeah.
Always fit here easy. I try my best. I do speak the language.
Yeah.
I am great. Like, um,
Yeah.
you know, sit with Costa Ricans, drink their coffee, drink coffee with them,
Yeah.
things. What would you say, like, do you think it's important for someone to like journal or like really create kind of their ideal routine before moving? And maybe is that something they should be kind of trying to implement maybe prior to moving, or is that something they should, what would you recommend for that? Someone,
Yeah, and that's one thing I really do a lot in my practice because a lot of people have a hard time, and my clients that maybe even be listening to this might know. I'm really big on just, having a schedule and developing those healthy habits. So it just becomes part of your life. And it doesn't have to be a long get dressed up, go to the gym. It could be 7 minutes. It could be a quick video. Um, it's also self-esteem building. So even before you move, it's important to have, just that strong sense of self And having healthy habits really, to me, that's the foundation, and it could even be, 10 push-ups in a day or just something to move your body because your brain, I always say your brain is listening. Your brain is always listening, and you're telling your brain that I care about you by doing some type of physical movement, by eating a healthy meal, by doing all these things, you're preparing yourself. So when you make these big transitions, like an international move, you will be well equipped with already having those habits and those tools implemented. Maybe reaching out to a therapist or a coach is helpful too, because they can help you. That's what I do with my clients a lot. I ask a lot of reflective questions and just really helping them develop plans in general, not including and because I have the experience of working with expats, it really helps me in my counseling and coaching practice to really help them kind of navigate some of those questions they may have, and also to help reduce some of the fears and anxiety, because we all have anticipatory anxiety, like the what ifs. What if I get there and move my little dog, because I just met your dog this morning, I move everything, and then what if
Uh-huh.
I don't like it? I don't want to be here anymore. And the thing is working on how to just calm the anxiety, having a good plan, and that could be a possibility. That's why we don't want to romanticize it. It could be. And at the end of the day, it's okay. I thought I was just going to live here a year. I've been here 20 this year. It's in living life in the moment, I believe, and being intentional and not letting fear create. And that's what I help people to really unblocking the fear, because fear holds us back, right? In so many things, relationships, jobs, starting our own businesses, moving abroad, and really tapping into that fear, because usually that fear stems deeper in your subconscious, and learning how to lift some of those blocks so that again that will align with making a smooth transition when you move abroad.
Totally. And I feel like even
Mhm.
the habits and the routine that someone can develop prior to moving is going to help
Yes.
when those scary moments
Oh,
come. Like,
yes.
like you are kind of you anywhere you go. So as long as you're like solidifying your habits, your health,
Mhm.
even if you're in a new place, even if things feel a little shaky, you can still have that, those habits and that routine kind of to give you that stability, that life stability even.
Yeah, I love how you said that, Sarah, because exactly that's true. My daughter lives abroad and she's going to university, and I always say find a gym, find some weights. My stability is fitness. No matter where I go in the world, traveling or whatever, I find a gym, I find a park, even doing things in the hotel room. And you're absolutely right, because it helps us, because that's our foundation. And I think we really can build very solid, productive, positive lives based upon that foundation of our habits wherever we go in life and in the world.
Totally. Like I told you, I've been getting up, yeah, 4:30, 4:45
Yeah.
every
Good for
morning,
you.
going and hitting the gym, hitting it hard all like, doing throughout the week. But now I've gotten in this habit of like, even on my
Yeah.
days I don't go to the gym because I need to rest too. Like I wake up and I'm like,
Sure.
I'm ready to go. I'm like, gotta go somewhere. Like I'll go on a walk or so I mean, like
Yeah.
I'm actually leaving for Panama later today. So I got some of my gym stuff. I rented a place. It's gonna have a gym there. Like so I can even still
Good.
that stability while traveling. Even with the food, tracking my macros. Like my friend
Yeah.
me over for the chicken and rice the other day, and I guess she joked. There was someone else there, and she was like, "Sarah's gonna bring she's gonna bring a scale over. I know it." Like so, again, just to make sure I'm
Oh,
getting everything. I got all the right
you
fats. I
have
got
to
the
catch her.
right
Mhm.
carbs. I got to make sure it's all in balance. And then I guess like having people or it being an environment that's supporting your lifestyle changes too.
Yeah,
Talked
true.
about connections. So what do you think is the importance of connections during this time? And maybe how can people, like I talked about with someone else, but what would you recommend for someone who might come here and I have people who move alone. I do have people who move alone.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
maybe
Hmm.
even a couple, even if you're in a pair, you can still get lonely. What would you say for that?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. I think just finding, it's amazing in this country. It seems like for me, it's so easy to meet friends and people. People just kind of, and it's the energy you put out there. And when you're happy and you have, again, not to sound like a broken record, when you have those habits and you're happy in your life and internally, validating yourself, not looking for external validations. Like if I move to Costa Rica, I'll be happier. If I I'll be happier. Having that happiness within yourself, no matter who you're with, where you go, if you're alone, just within yourself. And that's why I tell a lot of my clients, let's work on that internal happiness. And when you're like that, you evoke an energy about you and you do draw people towards you. And so if you're moving, for example, here alone, even just going out, you can meet people. There's always yoga studios. This culture, I believe, it just promotes wellness. People are always walking or they're always looking for workouts. I have a really nice group of friends that everybody's into fitness and running. There's a lot of biking here, hiking. I mean, I think again, going back to the climate, it just really promotes for well living. I live in the Central Valley, so I don't live on the beach. I'm not too far from the beach, but I literally can look outside my window now and see mountains. I don't live in the mountains, but like I said, in the Central Valley in San Jose, but it just promotes that. And just going for a walk, there's always local cafes where you can meet people. There are all kinds of organizations you can join. We've talked about professional organizations where you can go and network. I think that's a key. I think just, overcoming that fear and just being comfortable, being uncomfortable, as they say, and getting out to meet people and embracing it. And that's what's going to help prevent, you know, um, not to completely get away, but prevent homesickness, anxiety, depression, because not feeling so alone. And you're going to have those moments, like you said. I mean, I did, and every now and then I still do. I have bouts of, what it would be like living in the U.S. or whatnot, and then I'm at the point now where I can always move back and forth, and I go back and forth a lot actually, but um. I don't know. I think that's important. Just really having an open mind, being flexible, and just inviting adventure and living an abundant lifestyle of embracing that.
Yeah, trying new things. I feel like meeting
Yeah.
people with
Yes.
common interests is going to be really easy. I mean, especially in the
Yeah.
Central Valley,
Totally.
endless
Yes.
amounts. You have access to everything. Where I live in
Totally. Yeah.
the Pacific, there's everything. There's rock climbing, there's dance. I mean, there's exercise, there are martial arts. I mean, there's salsa dancing.
Everything.
You name it. I feel like you can find most of it here too. There are
Mhm.
bicycle groups that will go out
Yeah.
cycling. There's hiking
Hmm.
trails. I just after the gym in the morning, I usually walk a bit. I've said hi to like 5 different people on my walk. So like there are always
Hmm.
people to say
Yeah.
hi. Like I saw the same person today that I saw yesterday. So you'll it's
Yeah.
like a small enough country, and most of these towns
Hmm.
outside the Central Valley can be small enough that you will start to see the same faces when you go to the store. Like when I lived in Dominical, if I was gone for a few weeks, I'd come back and they'd be like, "Oh, where were you?" Like, if depending on
Yes. Yes.
people will notice, like, where have you been? Like, it's small enough that people do start to recognize you if you start frequenting a certain cafe, and everyone's really open and friendly. I mean, I've, I'm,
Totally.
it's so easy to strike up a conversation with someone here. I feel like so.
Hmm. Well, and it's a very family, and you're absolutely right. It's a very loving when they say that Purda Vida, the lifestyle here. I do find that people are really authentically, they care. If you fall in the street, or even if I don't know if you got this, just a funny thing. If you sneeze, you get like, a million salutes. I mean, if
I
you sneeze in the US, nobody even notices, right? I mean, those cute little things that it's just a very loving country, and I just think it's really quite a gem. I really have enjoyed living here and embracing it. It's not for everyone. Again, our experience has been very beautiful and positive. However, it's not for everyone. And at the end of the day, pushing yourself to get out of your comfort zone and just experiencing it. I'm from a small town in Kansas. I never in a million years thought I'd be living in San Jose, Costa Rica. So, but I really I love it. I think it's an amazing place to be. So
Yeah, and you're right. It's not for everybody. But at least, okay, so I have had people obviously have moved back for whatever reason. Sometimes things happen,
right,
like happens, medical things, sick parents. It's just things can happen.
sure,
But
life.
even the ones I've talked to that were like, it's just not for me, they were still really thankful. They had a positive experience. They learned a lot about themselves. They learned about the world. They learned about other people. It just regardless. So that's why for me, when I moved, it was like, well, why not? If it doesn't work out, I'll just go back to doing what I was doing. That was kind of took away some of the anxiety from it. But yeah, I mean, there was definitely those moments of like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I've definitely been depressed while I've lived here. I've definitely eaten unhealthy while I've lived here. I've definitely
Sure, yeah.
not taken care of myself while living here. So, regardless, it's a great place, very conducive to helping people do those things. But I think, what I love about today is just if people can take away just building those daily habits now and like having a plan
Yes.
for when you move here.
Yes.
Have a plan. Don't just think you're going to show up and everything's going to fall into place and you're going to
Right.
it is just gonna, oh, I'm a new me. No, like you're gonna have to work for it too, because now you're gonna be working through all these other transitions. The new house you're gonna
Exactly.
figure out. Yesterday I was with some clients, sidetrack.
Uh-huh.
We're like, oh,
Uh-huh.
like our shower is not working, and it was kind of one of the suicide shower things, but it was a nice one. And I flipped it over
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't working. I was like, it's probably just a breaker, like so you're trying to figure
Mm-hmm.
out your home, you're trying to figure out a new language, you're trying to figure out your new town. So all this,
Mm-hmm.
so don't think that you're just gonna spring into being this new me all of a sudden in the midst of all that. So I would
Of
say
moving.
yeah,
Yeah.
develop.
And yeah, and you say, I want to real quick too, Sarah, what you brought up a good point because you may have all of that, but when you move, things surface. Things from your past may surface, fears may surface that you weren't even realizing you had. Then that's when I would say seek support. A therapist. My practice is all remote, so I do have some clients in Costa Rica in office if they're in San Jose that I can see in person. But be prepared that things from the past, some things may surface, old fears or whatever, loneliness, and it's important just to seek support when you begin to recognize those signs and symptoms. That way, it doesn't create, a bigger issue for you. So when you said that, that brought up something too, because everything may be fine, and then you're like, where in the heck did this come from? This feeling or this fear.
Totally. I think everybody should be in therapy. So, and then,
I do too. Hey, you
I,
know me. We were talking about that. I'm in therapy, and I think everybody should have a coach or a therapist because it's game changing, right? I mean, just having a non-judgmental, objective person that's not your partner, not your friend, just that you can just literally tell them whatever, and it's a safe space just to process and just get some really good insight too,
totally.
guidance.
So for those watching, like as I've noticed, Crystal is a licensed therapist. She is a coach. Like she is someone that you can reach out to. And again, I wanted to talk about this topic because a lot of what we do on this channel is I always like to bring value. And I like to bring in people again with expertise and value as well. So what's nice about, I guess if any of you wanted to work with someone like Crystal, she's been through this transition too. She's probably gonna know what you're feeling. It's not, she might understand what you're going through as you're going through this transition. And honestly, she's just so fun to talk to. Like I could talk to you
Oh,
for
thank
hours and like you're
you.
just fun. Like I loved our brunch. Okay, can
I
we tell a funny story about how we ended up on our call together? That was so great. So
somebody, yeah, go ahead.
I guess was it your ex-husband that found my content and said,
No,
"Hey,
well, actually, it was my partner now that found your
I'm so
content.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
Okay. So your partner now found my content, said, "Hey, you should reach out to this girl. She does retreats, right?" So that's like a speaker, which would love to have you at the retreat.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks.
so I guess I probably wrote you back and was like, "Yeah, set up a call on my calendar." So when I have the booking, I'm thinking you're like it's a sales call. I'm in my sales call mode. I'm like, "All right, people want to move to Costa Rica. Let's do this, let's chat with everyone. Let's see what's going on." So then I show up to the call and then but I didn't have any notes on you. And I'm like, well, she didn't fill out a questionnaire. Like, who is this? And then, so I'm trying to figure out what this calls for. I guess at the same
I
time, I think you
I
were
know
like,
I was kind of
what
like,
am I
does she
doing
not
here?
know who I am? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, and then I don't think you remembered why
No,
either of us basically remembered setting up the call. So there was definitely like a
yeah.
minute and a half where we were like, okay,
Fumbling through notes and emails, like, what's
yeah,
going on? What
hold
are
on. And
we?
then I was like, oh, and then the like,
And then it clicked. But it was great that we were able to be just so transparent and all that. Because, we're first like, and it's like, okay, we both like confess, like, okay, here,
I have
why are we
no
here?
idea why we're here. So yeah, so that's how I met Crystal, and that was a really
Yeah.
great first interaction.
Yeah.
And I would love
Yeah.
to have you speak at the retreat. We'll be having another treat coming up. If anyone's interested, it's going to be down in the link too. All of Crystal's information is also going to be down below too. So if you want to get directly in contact with her, like I said, I could talk with her there for hours. She's just such a cool person.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. I feel the same about you. And I'm getting ready to launch my website this month. So if people want to reach out through my email, PurdueCounseling@gmail, that would be great. But I will have a website that's hopefully launching this month. So,
Yeah. Can you just give us a quick synopsis of, I guess, like what you do, what it's like working with you? And I think we talked about some retreats too while we were together
uh
that you want to mention.
yeah,
You want.
yeah, sure. Thanks. Well, what I do usually is, I see people of variety of ages, young adults to even 60s. I really work with a variety of people. And usually people come to me because they just want to create a better version of themselves. They want to learn, how to, I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist. So really learning how to reprogram your brain. Like I said, your brain's always listening and reprogramming your thoughts because your thoughts create your reality. And I always say, as you think, you shall be. So, learning how to just reprogram, we all have that perfectionist in us. We all have that people pleaser, or most of us anyway. And looking at where that stems from, working on, and I'm solution focused too. So, not necessarily going back in the past and digging everything up, but focusing on when those things surface, how can you reprogram your thinking? So, you can unleash so many barriers and so many blocks to fulfilling what you really want, be it another relationship or job or a move. But first, really, it's really important to recognize and start to identify that. And I can help people because it's kind of like a fan in the background. After a while, you don't hear the fan, you don't hear the what ifs and the shoulds. It's just natural. And when you have somebody, and that's what I do with my clients all the time. And I always say, try is like a dirty word to me. And they're like, I'll try. And I'm like, what? They're like, I will, because it's reframing our thinking. It's reframing our words that we use. Instead of saying, I'll try to go to the gym tonight, your brain is saying, okay, listen, she's not going to go to the gym tonight because we're trying. But when you say, I will or I can, those proactive words and just teaching clients on how to begin, first of all, to recognize it because it's just become such a habit. And then how can we reframe that so that it does align for you to reach your goals and just being a better version of ourselves. And that's why I love therapy too because I'm always getting challenged with what I want. And I'm not a friend, and you know I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear, right? Because I want you to improve and grow. And my clients that I've worked with have really felt that too, of just growing and knowing that there will be some hard truths sometimes, and working through that and things. So yeah, that's pretty much what I like to do, just basically helping people reprogram their thinking and, creating better habits.
I love that. Oh, it makes me so excited.
Thank
Well, thank
you. Thanks. Yeah, thank you so much.
And again, everyone, Crystal's information will be down below. If you want information on moving to Costa Rica, you can find that down below too. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up. And this has been
Okay.
amazing. I really appreciate you sharing your expertise. And hopefully, this has been
Thank
really
you.
valuable for other people. I like to also focus on like the self-improvement, self-development side, like not always just moving to Costa Rica. There's so many other things that go into that. So I think this is a really important part of it.
Yeah, totally. I agree. So, but yeah, thanks for having me. And I look forward to hopefully hearing from some of your viewers.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks again.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Take care. Bye.